Hi, I'm Jennifer Potter, Executive Director of Be Well Texas. Too many people are struggling alone these days, and alcohol and drug deaths are increasing. We started Be Well Texas to offer high-quality, science-based addiction treatment and recovery services anywhere, virtually or in person. In many cases, there is no cost for treatment or medications if you don't have insurance. Really. Welcome to Be Well Texas. We're glad you're here. Visit bewelltexas.org.
Andy, the only thing that says squaring around that touches this body is made by Elite Sports, baby. You know where to get it, elitesports.com. They have a full slate of athletes that they also support. Use code SQUARE. Get 10% off. What do you have to say about the fine folks that we got at Elite Sports?
I think the coolest thing about Elite Sports is they have customized stuff for the athletes. I always think it's cool when athletes have their own merch brand, and they've done an incredible job of supporting the athletes at Texas State in the past and in the future. And as NIL gets bigger and bigger, it's important to have a partner that is going to help make sure our athletes stay at Texas State. Elite Sports does that.
My favorite thing is that vintage Ben McClain shirt that I have. They do that stuff from time to time. So I'm going to probably scoop another athlete here in a little bit for these cold months. You know, might as well rock our stuff. Support the brand. EliteSports.com. Use code SQUARE at checkout.
Jacob, there's a reason they call it home field advantage, and it's because of home field apparel. They make sure that you feel like you have an advantage when it comes to your college and your college brand. Look, they do a great job. I grew up a Minnesota Golden Gopher fan, a West Virginia Mountaineer fan. We're going to get the Texas State gear at some point, but they have so many different colleges. They got hats, they got shirts. You do not want to miss it. And let me tell you, the shirts, immaculate. They are the softest shirts I've ever had, Jacob. They're so great.
I'm not giving up on home field. Neither should you. Use code SQUARE at checkout. Support the brand, baby. I hate playing away games too. You're right. Who would want to sacrifice home field advantage?
I feel like I'm in home field advantage every time I'm wearing home field apparel.
I was recording, right? Oh yeah, perfect. Look, that's how fun. I was going to be so angry at myself.
So when I came back down to Texas, I thought for sure I'd be going to NRG with you to watch Sam Houston State and Texas State play. I thought for sure it's not going to be in the cards. I got to do stuff with Austin FC this weekend. I will not be in the stadium. You know what the worst part is? Friend of the pod, Kate Connor, will be there as well. So it's like all of my friends are going to be in Houston and I'm going to be in Austin.
I will surely be in attendance, provided I fill out the dang credential form. Oh, I almost did it. You see?
It's a Thursday.
Batman walking on a little tightrope right here.
Does that credential form need to be done like now?
Well, it's not. They're not playing Saturday. It's the bye week, baby.
Oh, I totally forgot.
We got the bye week blues. That's why.
Weekend.
If you're listening to this in the future, because this is actually going to turn into the first Mountain Time podcast that we do later on with Coach Sean Huiet of the volleyball team, we are doing a preview with them about like conference stuff. They're in the last preseason tournament, so this is the bye week blues for us. But me and Andrew will talk about football on the back half and other stuff that we got going on. Yeah, so we're into the bye week right now. We get 2 bye weeks because we're playing 4 mid-week games: Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. We just played our first Tuesday one, and that's why Thursday. I look like this, ladies and gentlemen. I'm disheveled. I am not TV ready, as I would say in my profession. Look at this. I look like Castaway right now. I got a headband.
You kind of do. You kind of do look disheveled.
My haircut, look at that. Oh, look at the C cups. Fire, my boy at San Miguel Barbershop hooked me up.
What conspiracy theory did you hear this week?
Dude.
Because I have a conspiracy theory story for you.
If you don't know, my barber's a massive conspiracy theorist. The first time he ever cut my hair, this is now dating back 2.5 years ago when I first moved back to San Antonio, he immediately shared with me that he was an anti-vaxxer and then went into this whole tirade about JFK. And that was in the first 30 seconds of meeting him. And I was like, this is going to be my guy. And now I have followed him around San Antonio to 4 different shops. So boom.
He keeps getting kicked out of his shops.
Well, a part of it was by choice.
Kind of.
At the first,
okay, yeah.
The first part, he had his own shop, right? And it was right by my place. And it was great. I was like 5 minutes back and forth, whatever. Then he was like, I'm going to downsize. I'm kind of trying to get a new house or something. And I was like, all right, cool. So he moved to the shop right by where I work in the medical center. I was like, awesome. This is even better somehow. Something happened there. Didn't get into the specifics.
Didn't pay his rent.
The politics of barbershops, bro. You know?
Yeah, I bet.
So I was going there for like a year. Then I went to this other shop that's like pretty near to where his other spot is right now. It was fine, but like I would walk in there every time and just know that he just got into it with somebody else at the shop. And I was like, weird vibe.
Vibes are off. Need to get some sage. Did you know?
Crispest, look, let me lift up my headband. Crisp lineup. So I'm not going to stop going to this guy. So I followed him to this other shop, which is also just his now, but it's in a mini. Like imagine like a warehouse, a big warehouse, and it's just filled with like cubbies of little people who like have their own little cubicle that cut hair. So it's this own like little private barber shop, but there's also like 200 of them. It's crazy.
That sounds awful. Did you know that you have to rent your chair in some barbershops?
Mm-hmm.
That like
so instead of renting his chair, he rents like a room basically.
That's weird. I don't like it. Weird situation. All right, I have conspiracy theory. Conspiracy theory story for you. So you are the Sammy Sosa of dating apps, meaning that you were doing fine and you started cheating, buying the premium. There was a prompt recently, got me a match on what is your favorite conspiracy theory. And as a white man in America, there are good conspiracy theories and very dangerous conspiracy theories. And I did the right thing. I put it into ChatGPT, give me 15 conspiracy theories, and then I found the most soft of those that it still fits, but it's not like, there was a shooter on the grassy knoll. Okay. You know what I mean? It still fits, but it's not,
Give me your favorite conspiracy theory.
I did dead internet. I said that I think that half the internet's actually computers just talking to each other and that we don't.
Just AI stuff or what?
It's just AI talking back and forth. Like when you get on Twitter and you see like a 15 tweet long thread back and forth of people arguing, that neither one of those people exists. It's just AI.
Dude,
just
I've been getting
going back and forth.
Not just the pod, because I've talked about our porn bots that follow us, but I've been getting left and right bots on my personal account following me, which shout out to the bots following me, boosting the brand. But yeah, no, there's definitely, since Elon took over, more stuff, weirder stuff happening on X. What do you think?
Did you see your boy Elon calling Mark Cuban a broke boy for having $5 billion? Yeah.
Well, I guess he's like a South Texas legend now, Elon Musk. So kind of my boy, I guess.
South Texas legend.
South Texas legend. He took over Boca Chica Beach, pushed out a bunch of people, destroyed redfish fishing in the valley, maybe.
Brought jobs to Austin, Texas.
And we're gonna get slapped with a cease and desist by SpaceX on this podcast.
Yeah, that's fine.
Get demonetized.
Yeah, I don't think the astronauts will be listening to Squaring Around on the SpaceX.
We do have a Facebook for Squaring Around, by the way, if you hate X, but I haven't done anything with it.
Really. No, me neither.
Like a year. You can follow it, so
Yeah.
But I guess we're living and dying on X now. Some people have asked me, like, why aren't you all on Instagram? You know who uploads all this stuff, man? It's me. That's like another thing. That's another button I got to press every week.
But also, like, what content do you want on Instagram from us?
I guess it's like, like the TikTok edits of the.
Ooh, you want TikTok edits of Jacob and I yelling about Jordan McLeod's height? Like
Triller videos of Jordan McLeod height videos.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Speaking of Jordan McLeod's height, I think he is 6 foot. He walked by me the last home game. I guess it wasn't the last. It was the UTSA game. He walked by me and he didn't have his helmet on. And I was like, The
last home game we won. There you go.
Yeah. Last home game we won. Last time we left UCF field with a win.
UCFCU, UFCU.
Yeah, it's too many.
UFCU stadium.
Yeah. There's too many. There's too many letters. Jim Wacker Field.
Here's the interview with Coach Sean Huiet.
Tired of winning the tailgate, but losing the games? We can't help that. But we can tell you what the hell is up with each team and what's going on across sunny San Marcos. Texas State fans, Get on your feet. You're listening to Squarin' Around with Jacob Rodriguez and Andrew Zimmel.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. This is the show where we talk about everything happening at Texas State. Squaring Around. I'm Jacob Rodriguez. As you well know, my trusty sidekick is Andrew Zimmel, the Texas State sports prez. I know you don't like when I call you sidekick. My bad.
What am I, Tonto? What's going on here?
We are talking to one of the kings.
Sidekick.
We're talking to one of the kings, Sean Huiet at Texas State Athletics. I've been saying for a long time, Texas State is a volleyball school. I still feel like that rings true, right? Football all over the place.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I think the thing that I love is, yes, volleyball's been good for a long time, but it's nice to see a lot of other sports winning. Obviously, winning the Bubas Cup is huge, and so I feel like there's been a handful of us that have been traditionally really good, and so it's nice. We need football to win. We need men's and women's basketball. Like, they keep winning conference, and so it's nice. Like, again, for us, it's always the goal to win that Bubas Cup and be the best sports program in the Sun Belt. So
if football is the front porch, then volleyball was like the really nice interior living room for the longest time. Like, it was like, come on in and you'll see it, because it's. But you know what I mean? I get that. I got to ask, to start this off, how are the wings? Because I saw you did the hot wing challenge.
making it
Sorry,
steady.
that one's hitting you a little bit, isn't it?
Are you lying? I think I could just do what you're talking.
Create some of that COVID content because of what
My mouth is on.
you can power through.
Okay, sorry.
So-
next question.
And I sent it to Jake, and I was like, what? This is something.
When they asked me, I was like, I'm gonna be honest, I'm a wimp. Like, I love Hangry Joe's. I've been there, but I do mild, and even their mild has a little kick to it. So I was kind of like, I don't know how this is gonna go. I said, you're probably gonna have a better blooper reel than you have the actual video, because I do not do spice very well. Like, I'm from Ohio. I did not grow up with spicy food, and I've gotten better. But like, when I first moved here, like, there were some salsas I couldn't even eat. Like, I'm a wimp when it comes to that. So that's just a little preview what they posted today. They said the rest is going to come out this week, but I'll tell you, for sure that fifth one had me dying. Like,
Dang, spoiler.
I reached over, I took Maggie's milk, I took the extra everything we had to do. Like, I was like, this is not good.
What's the best remedy? What's the best? Is it milk?
You know what's funny? The guy at Hangry Joe's actually brought us all a little container of sugar.
Oh.
And our people brought milk and water, obviously. But he's like, actually, a lot of people don't know this, but if you put sugar on your tongue after you eat something spicy, the acid kind of takes it down. So it was weird though, because I think after the second one, I needed the sugar right away. And I was like, am I supposed to stick my finger in there? Am I supposed to do this like a shot? Like, how am I supposed to do the sugar to not look so crazy on TV? But he's like, just put the sugar in your mouth. It will help it.
I guess it is
Yeah,
better
it's in
than
different parts
taking
of the tongue. Yeah.
better than taking a shot of like blue cheese or ranch or something.
And again, it's really good. Like, and the mac and cheese there, I get it. But like I said, I get it with the mild chicken, and it's.
Yeah.
And we started out no spice, gradual, and then but that last one was their hottest. And like, again, Maggie and Bailey and I were texting, and it was like 45 minutes later before any of us felt our lips. Like, we felt like we had lip injections, maybe, that we're trying to get our
I guess
lips going
maybe ice cream would be really good, because it's sweet and cold and creamy, so,
Yeah.
When the Popeye chicken sandwiches first came out, right? Like, so 2020, 2019, I got a mild one, and everybody at that Popeyes in San Marcos looked at me like I was a wimp. So then I had to get the spicy, and it ruined it for me. I did not enjoy it nearly as much. So I'm in the same boat as you.
This is now two white guys talking about spice. I grew up in the Valley. I feel like I have a really good spice tolerance, but some of these places do sneak up on you. So I do get mild first, because it's like, whoa, wait. I feel like maybe spicy places, spicy things have something to prove now because of this trend. And you're like, what? Why is this so hot right now?
It's got some kick to it.
Speaking of kick, the volleyball team comes back stronger than ever. How's that going?
I like that little roll right into there. No, it's been awesome. It's been such a good start to our season. Like I said earlier, I feel like we have a lot of pieces returning, but we're still young. We only have 2 seniors. that first weekend, it was more of a kind of frustration. I felt like we weren't playing our best. I knew it was early. We tried some different things. I think because I joked with the girls. I even told them, I was like, maybe I've been hyping y'all up too much because we had one of the best preseasons we've ever had. Like we were playing at a high level. Our gym was uber competitive. People were just battling for positions. It was so fun. And then we went to our first weekend of competition. And I was like, this isn't what I was expecting. Like I thought it was going to just feel a little different, but our offense was off, and once our offense wasn't going like we needed it to, it kind of put some struggles, but we did a lot of different lineups, did some things. I felt we finally have gotten back into a groove a little bit. We saw some things like, again, UTSA, we were down 24-16 and we came back and scored 10 straight points to win that set. So we've gone through some things that have really helped. Again, being on the road this long is crazy. But I
come
felt
home till what, October 4th or something?
we're gonna play at home till October 4th. So I'm anxious for this weekend because I felt like, yes, our record was 1-2 in Hawaii, but we're playing really good volleyball right now. Like our match versus Hawaii, the first night, I was kind of like, oh, we missed some opportunities, but we get to get them again. Then we beat Oregon State 3-0, which was a really good win. They have some pieces to be really good. Then Oregon State takes Hawaii to 5, and I'm like, okay. And then we get into our last Hawaii match and we're like right there. We played really good, but it's still, there were some opportunities, like an opportunity in the 5th set to go up by 2 that we miss an easy ball that we shouldn't miss, and things like that. There's still some growing pains. And then again, Hawaii has an All-American that has 38 kills. And so, but we're playing really good volleyball right now. So it was fun to be able to see that in Hawaii. Our offense got back in a rhythm. So it's been a fun preseason.
I got to make the joke. Future conference opponent, Oregon State. You played them tight.
I know everyone keeps saying that. I was like, I'm not even worried about that right now. Like, I'm not even thinking, but everyone keeps asking. I had friends from back home being like, Pack, and I'm like, yo, I'm worried about winning the Sun Belt this year. I'm not worried about anything else. But
that's all anybody has been talking about
that
week.
all the. Say that again.
That's all anybody's been talking about since like last.
I know.
Week. Pac-12 this, Pac-12 that. I don't know.
All over social media, and I'm just like, I'm focusing on one match at a time and trying to win the Sun Belt again this year.
That is the slogan on this pod. 1-0 every week. That's all we got to do. Just 1-0. How was Hawaii? Because I know that we can blame the election committee for pretty much kicking you out of San Marcos for no reason. But how was Hawaii?
Yeah, it was awesome. Like I said, like a trip like that, it's for some of our players once in a lifetime. Our juniors and older kids are like, oh my gosh, you took it to Hawaii twice, because we went again in 2022. But just, the team bonding, the stuff we did. We went to a luau, we went hiking, we give them some free time to go explore. Because again, you're in Hawaii, but like not everyone loves the beach. Not everyone just wants to get in the water, and so we had some that wanted to surf. We had some that wanted to walk around and do touristy shopping. And Hawaii puts us up in a hotel that's right there, like on the beach, but there's also a mall there. There's things to do. And so we had a lot of families travel with us. So we got to give them some downtime to hang out with their families and do some of that. It was cool for our staff to be able to go do some stuff together. And so the volleyball, we played in front of 6,000 people, like that. The people in Hawaii are amazing. They just love good volleyball. Like there's no negative cheering. There's no like craziness with the fans. They cheer for y'all just as much as they cheer for Hawaii when there's good plays. And so it's awesome. But then you're 9-8 in the 5th set and 6,000 people stand up and just start chanting "Go Bows." And it's like, it's my favorite arena to ever play in. I think for our kids to be able to play in that and get that experience, it was pretty special.
You talk about youth on your team. That's like an incredible experience just to play in an environment like that ahead of, conference play stuff.
Yeah. And again, you had some kids like MJ, who was all tournament as a freshman, who's not playing like a freshman. And just being in that, and like I said, being in that environment, I keep telling them it. We are trying to get ready to win the Sun Belt. And we have some hard conference matches on the road. We have to win the conference tournament on the road. We have to win the NCAA tournament on the road. And so all of this experience being on the road and playing teams on a neutral site is only going to help us down the road. But we are very, very anxious to get back home.
Yeah. So I was going to say, what does that do for a player where you're just not, because A, you're not going to classes, you're having to do everything online, and B, you're not getting to sleep in your own bed. I mean, that has to take something out of you.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think the coming back this week was a little bit harder than obviously the first week. It was like we were in Houston and Rice, A&M, UTSA. That's not too bad. I think this week was the big, hey, we got back late Sunday. We took Monday off actually, and kind of let them get their bodies acclimated and get back. And there's some things that are nice when you're on the road. You get to control more. There's no other. Again, yes, we are in Hawaii,
Distractions.
but there's no other distractions per se. Like we do our study hall, we do all the class stuff, we do that, but there's no, like, when we're at home, like, we don't see them until they get there for pregame, and so they could be doing whatever they want. And when we're on the road, we kind of have a little bit more control of that. So that's nice in a way, but like you say, sleeping in your own bed, eating a home cooked meal, and not eating on the out the entire time. But I think I said this group has handled it really well. And so we're trucking along.
Well, I'll tell you, if the GPAs jump a couple points, you might be on the road to start every year like this.
That was the hardest part about Hawaii too, just because when all that debate stuff was going to happen, like all the classes were going to go online. And that's why President Kelly and Don and Tracy and all them were okay with this happening, because we knew the classes were going to go online. And so luckily for us, volleyball, we're a sport. We don't have a lot of academic issues, Again, we had a couple kids get up at 3 a.m. to join their class and go do some of the stuff that they were doing. And again, that's just kudos to them and how they take their academics, which is awesome. But we this week, again, getting caught back up on the class stuff was, luckily it was early enough in the semester that none of them felt like they were too far behind. So feeling good about that.
Across the board, this would have been like the wackiest 2 weeks in like Texas State sports history, probably, if the debate had gone down, because I was originally going to take, for my real job, like I'm a TV news reporter, so I was going to take the week off and be in San Marcos around all this crazy stuff after the Arizona State, hopefully win. It didn't end up happening that way, but there would have been a crazy atmosphere probably in San Marcos right now.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking early on when that was all going to happen. Like, we were going to take my son, take him to Hawaii. We were going to Airbnb our house out. We're like, some of these news people, they want to stay not just in a hotel. We got a house with a pool and a hot tub. Like, let's Airbnb it, make some money on this. Like, let's see what we can get. But obviously, that did not happen. And that's been actually okay for us because, yes, being on the road a lot, but it's been nice to, when we get back, have practice in our own gym, not have to be running around town with, because there was a while there we didn't even know where we were going to practice.
I remember you telling me that. Well, have fun in 2028 when we do this whole thing again. So
that's smiling.
I remember when the football team was not very good, right? We would go like 2-10. And then I would just go tailgate volleyball games with my friends because that was a way better venue to do it.
Oh my God,
yes. The team win. It was awesome.
No, that again, for us, even we need football to win. We want so that's always, people are always like, oh, it's like football. Then I'm like, no, like football, we need them. We need the money. We need and again, any college, like to go to a football game, like again, back in the day when you would see kids just tailgate and then not go into the game or only stay for the first quarter. And it's just like, oh, like these athletes are putting in so much. So it's so awesome to see them now, this team getting that back a little bit and being able to see how good the fans are and what the student sections have done. That's really cool to see. And again, we need that. We want all our sports to be good.
It's also cool because what they've been doing is they've been kind of honoring different teams like during halftime and in between quarters and stuff. And volleyball, like I said, I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, usually gets honored. And it's kind of cool to do that in front of a full stadium versus a half empty stadium. So that there's
for sure. Well,
part of that too.
Yeah, that was the thing they did ask, like, hey, like, what game can you come to? And I was like, it's so weird this year because football we only have one more home game than football. We have 8 home games, they have 7. And I'm like, that's insane. But we get to go to the Tuesday night game we're home for. And then it's really cool this year, we're home for homecoming, which that doesn't really happen a lot. So I'm hoping that's a big alumni weekend for us. We're trying to do our alumni around that because they love to come back for homecoming football. So they can see, we play JMU in volleyball, which will be a huge weekend, Thursday, Friday, and then football Saturday. So we'll get to go to that game too.
So that's a good way to segue into what does the conference look like? Because every year it seems like Texas State in the West kind of feels like the preemptive favorite. And then in the East, there's always a JMU or a different school that kind of rises up and then kind of goes back into the sea, the Atlantic Sea. So what does the outlook look this year for volleyball in the Sun Belt?
Yeah, the Sun Belt's good. I think we saw that last year. We got 4 teams in the NCAA. We've been working so hard just to get 2 into the NCAA tournament, and we got 4. And so that was kudos to the rest of the Sun Belt and doing what we need to do. You know, we always talk as coaches like you have to be honest with where you're at. And we need the teams towards the bottoms just to win. Like you don't need to go out and play all these big schools. We need you just to bring wins into conference, and then the middle of the pack. You got to win some, and then you got to challenge some other teams. And then the people at the top, we've got to go play some of the bigger teams and get those RPI wins. And so I think the same this year. I think the Sun Belt's going to be really good. I was shocked, pleasantly surprised, excited that we were picked to win it with all 14 votes. You know, like I think people know Texas State volleyball is good, but I think that just adds a little bit of pressure with our young group. But I think on our side, Troy is going to be very good. They're always very good. Louisiana always has athletes, and it's always a battle with us. I always feel like our side, we have some of these just battles with teams. South Alabama, they are very similar to us 2 years ago when they lost a big class, and now they've been good the last 4 years, but we don't know their young kids. We didn't get to see a lot of them play last year, and so they're relying on a lot of young kids. But he's such a good coach that they're going to be good, and so I think it's going to be a battle every night. I think on the other side, JMU traditionally is always good. Coastal, Georgia Southern has been knocking on the door to be in the top 2, top 3 of the conference, and they're having a really good season. So, Arc State, they're started off 8-1. They beat Ole Miss. So I just think the Sun Belt's getting better and better in volleyball, which is good for us. Again, it's challenging. It's more challenging to win, but it only helps us go deeper in the NCAA tournament, that's our goal. Our goal is to get to the Sweet 16. And so being able to play night in and night out and not be able to take a night off, that just helps us.
It feels like the last couple of years we've been getting closer and closer to that. We've been getting to that point. Do you feel like coming into this year, you talk about the younger players, but we have some experience. Do you feel like the Sweet 16 is a doable goal this year for this group?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I do. I think it's very attainable. I think, again, we keep talking, we're taking it game by game, match by match, and where we are now is not where we need to be in November. I think you're seeing across the board volleyball, no Pitt's the only team that's been in number 1 that hasn't been beaten yet. You know, we've seen unranked teams beat number 1, unranked teams sweep number 2. Like you're just seeing a lot of parity in volleyball these days. And so I think it's a good opportunity for us or in the next year. But this year, I really think this is a team that can do some special stuff.
And Coach, correct me if I'm wrong, Coach, but like you and your staff's MO, maybe for the longest time, like you dating back to when you were an assistant, like has been like find players who can make an immediate difference on this team, who can win now. Like I remember when Emily DeWalt was a freshman and she took the league by storm. It was crazy. Yeah. You got some of the similar type players right now.
Yeah, no, I think that's what everyone, I think a lot of people were actually shocked last year with how good we were, but we were not. Like the Maggie Walsh, the Bailey Hanner, Jade, Sam Wunsch, that class, Olivia Clark, like we knew how good they could be. They were just behind DeWalt, Janelle, Jill, Teskey, you know, so they were behind those kids for a year, but we knew how good they could be. Now, did I think we'd be that good that quick? It was just, you know, that's part of the gamble, because you never know. But we like to get kids in and that can compete right away. That we say all the time, like once you're here, like my job is now to go find someone better than you, right? Like I've got to get someone better than you that keeps you on your heels and is ready to go. And so that's what our program's been known for. And again, it's no different this year. We have a lot of good young kids that are knocking on the door, some getting playing time. Like MJ is going to be a special player. She's going to be really good.
Listeners of the pod would know that I'd be the first person to be like, well, this year's class or that year's class. But I can't think. And again, I've tried to be like, this class was like weak or that class. I can't think. It feels like since you've taken over the program, there has been a constant like, okay, this group is a little bit better at this, and this than the group before him. And that is a big testament to you and the scouting and the recruiting for sure.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That was one thing when we talked about making this jump and pushing for the Sweet 16. Texas State has always been known for our offense. We wanted to get a little more defense. We wanted to be a little bit more physical, bigger at the net. Obviously, last year you saw we were 4th in the nation in blocks per set. That's something that we think can help take us to the next level and maintain that top 30, top 40, but also, like you say, keep pushing for the Sweet 16.
Oh, after the Lamar win. You were saying that you think your club has never been like deeper than it ever has been. Like, you still think that even now after a few games?
Yes, and that I will say that was the frustrating part about that first weekend where I felt like our offense was kind of off. We were kind of blah, like it was just this weird, and it some of it was almost a little bit with the team dynamics because we're so good and we're so deep that we had to really talk about your roles and what your role is. And when we go into a match, if that's your role, you really have to accept it for that match. And then when we get back into the practice gym, we're going to battle it out. And it doesn't mean that has to be your role the entire season. But when you have a lot of people that can be on the court and help you and put up offensive and defensive numbers, you got to step back a little bit too and make sure you're managing the culture and the locker room stuff. And so we've talked a lot about that. And again, everyone wants to play, right? Like we all know everyone wants to be on the court, but you got to make sure that no matter when you get into the match and if your role might be M3 or OH3, like you got to be ready to go in if one or two aren't ready, but you can't sulk, you can't be negative, you can't be. And I think we might have saw a little bit of that the first weekend of us trying to find the identity of this team because we were like, everyone was ready to go, but then it was like, no, we really weren't ready to go just yet. And so that's part of the stuff, but no, they're really, like I said, they battle every day in practice. It's so fun, but it's been fun to see them come together. That trip to Hawaii was awesome for the team bonding and they all want to win a championship. So they know they all have to be on board to do that.
That's what non-conference is for, though, is to figure out roles and figure out and that's some of the hardest things when you talk to coaches about figuring that out. Like for some coaches, it's easy to recruit. Some coaches, it's easy to coach up, but to have players that know their role and to recruit players that know their role can be very challenging. Louisiana, we've been trying to force a rivalry with them across all sports. You mentioned them as a potential. Is that our rival? Do you feel like Louisiana is the rival to Texas State now in the Sun Belt?
Honestly, on our side recently, it's been like the South Alabama, the Troy. That's who we battled like at the top 2 or 3. Mm-hmm. But if you really look at it, and again, that's why this group is kind of on a mission. Like we won it in 2020, and then we've won the West every year. We got the first at-large bid in school history last year, but we haven't won the Sun Belt since 2020, and we have been one match away every single season for the regular season or the tournament title. And 2 out of the 3 years, Louisiana's loss was the one that knocked us out. And so, yes, it becomes a little bit of a rivalry. And so again, they just compete hard and it's just a fun battle when we play them. So they have really kind of become a rivalry with us. Their coach is from Wimberley. Like her mom, I just met her the other night when I was at Kissing Tree. Her mom came up and talked to me because she lives in Kissing Tree. And so she's from the area and knows Texas State. Our old volunteer, Will, was there last year. And so there's always been a connection, to the staff and that too. So it just makes it fun to compete against.
You know how I know it's our rivals? Because you started with they're not a rival and then you circle back to they're kind of a rival. That's how you know they're a rival.
I always feel like everyone's a rival. Like I don't want to lose to anyone.
You're out in Chuco Town this weekend, Coach. What are you looking at this weekend?
This tournament is going to be really fun, and that's what we talked to the team about. Like I think all 3 teams here would be in the top half, the top third of the Sun Belt, and so they're all teams that are going to be very similar to what we're going to see as we get into conference play. It's a huge RPI weekend. UTEP they swept Iowa State. They were, I think, 7-1. I think they just lost their last match, but they're doing really good things. All 3 of them will finish top 2, maybe 3 in their conference. And so it's just a good weekend. It's going to be really good volleyball. They're all different and going to show us some different things. One more offensive, one's going to be a little more defensive. One's going to make us work for all of our points. And so it's going to be kind of fun to see how the team handles it.
This is something Andrew loves to ask coaches. You mentioned at the top, like how deep the Sun Belt is as a volleyball conference, how competitive your team is too on the national scale. Like, what is your, I guess, real selling point for
the old recruiting pitch? Yeah, come in my living room. Convince me to come to your school.
Now, all bought in on the river. They got Ferraris. Yeah. What do you do to get these guys?
Mine's simple, to be honest. And it's again, our culture, Texas State volleyball has been known for being good for a long time. But the thing that has probably kept me at Texas State the longest and why I love here is because we can be in the top 30, right? We can play for a championship every single year. We can be in the top 30, go to the second round, push on the door for the Sweet 16, but we also can enjoy life, and we don't have to eat, sleep, breathe volleyball. I love my job. I'm uber competitive. I will work day in and day out to do what I need to do, but I also have a family, right? And I also want to be able to do stuff outside of the gym. I also want my athletes to be able to go to other sporting events, be involved in other things on campus. Like at some point, volleyball is going to stop, and I want them to be well-rounded and be ready to be in the community and be a mom and do great things at their job. And I think Texas State just has this cool spin to it that you can be high-level athletics, but you also can enjoy life, and you can also have stuff outside of athletics, right? Like we take care of our kids. We're going to work them hard when we're in the gym, and they know if we're not playing for a championship, we're disappointed that season, right? Like, but they also know we're going to love on them, take care of them, and help them grow. And so I think it's just unique that you can do that, because you kind of see there's some Power 5 and Power 4, but that I see in their friends, like they don't see any of their kids' sporting events. They don't go home and do this. They don't spend time with their spouse. Their assistants maybe not date, and I'm like, oh, like there's so much more to this, but you can be really good. That doesn't mean that we're not competitive. It doesn't mean that we don't work really hard, but there's two sides of that. And I think that is something that's really special, and you don't see that everywhere. And so I tell recruits that a lot. Like, you're going to come here, we're going to win a lot, but you're also I'm not going to micromanage you. I'm not going to, hold you and keep you in the gym 24 hours a day, right? So you're going to be able to do some other things and enjoy everything we have to offer, because Texas State and San Marcos, whew, it's hard to beat that spot.
All right, where do I sign? You sold me.
It's ready.
Yeah.
Libero.
If you guys have not gone to a volleyball game, get out there, support the team. October 4th, you guys are back home.
October 4th, that's a big one. We have Troy at home, and they're going to be really good. Again, that's who we battled last year for the top spot in the West. So we're going to be pushing that one. But the 4th and 5th at home, we're going to need lots of Bobcats in the stands.
Lots of Bobcats. Awesome. Thank you so much, Coach, for doing this. We appreciate it.
No problem. Thank y'all. I appreciate y'all.
So we're talking about women's sports. Do you want to talk about your guerrilla marketing campaign for Squarin around right now? Because you sent me this TikTok of beautiful Texas State women hoping, with high hopes, that that's how Squarin around would really take off on the ground.
No, you're not giving the full. Let me play picture. TikTok. Yeah, play the TikTok. You're not giving the full picture here.
Yeah.
So, okay. So because I'm watching a lot of sports content, and because I've liked posts in the past of national people talking about Texas State.
How did this get on your algorithm?
I start getting more Texas State stuff. So I got posts from people who were at the stadium against UTSA. I saw some posts from the Arizona State game, but again, it's people who were in the stands. So, and then it inundates with Texas State soccer. All right, I like one of their posts because it was kind of funny. They were talking about, hey, if football wins, we're going to get new cleats or something. I thought that was kind of funny.
Play
to now
clip.
Where it's
play the clip. Play the clip.
Now, Jarrell, run the route again. Damn it, it's cut. You don't have anybody to flat.
To now where it's getting to the point where I'm getting cheerleaders and stuff. And these cheerleaders are getting thousands of views, hundreds of thousands of likes. And I go like, okay, guerrilla marketing, let's get in the comment section. That's how the algorithm works. And it's not like me being crazy. It's me being like, go listen to Squaring Around. Because I imagine people who are watching it might be Texas State fans. I think it's a good guerrilla marketing tactic. I don't think that I'm doing anything wrong here. I think that it's a great idea. And if one or two people like it, it's going to move up. It'll move up the deals. And look, comments boost the post. We've seen that with TikTok and the algorithm, So in reality, it's kind of a parasocial relationship. It's like a parasitic relationship. Like, they are getting more views because I'm commenting, and people might see my comment and then listen to the podcast. I don't think it's a bad idea.
I'm just saying, you put me on trial for the whole Sydney Sweeney thing earlier.
This
year.
is way better than that. This is way better than that.
Yeah. Well, I guess if I was commenting on Sydney Sweeney's post,
Listen to Texas State.
Then maybe it would be the same thing.
I'm doing it as like a let's help the brand get stronger. You're doing it as I don't know why you're doing it. It doesn't make sense.
I'm not even commenting on her stuff. I'm just following her.
The wildest part is that sometimes Instagram will like suggest a photo to you or suggest like a deal. And I've gotten it where Sydney Sweeney's posts pop up and it's liked by Jacob Rodriguez and Colton McWilliams.
Aha! I got you, Colton.
Yeah. And it's like, don't like that.
I know he's
What's
gonna
up with
text me after this, like, that's not true. Like, all right.
All right, cool.
All right. Check out your digital footprint, brother.
Uh-huh.
Speaking of TikToks, have you seen this Two Poppy podcast from Arizona State? This is who we let beat us.
You know how Rush is coming up, right?
Yeah.
So many kids are like, how do I get a bid? Getting a bid is so easy.
Bro, give us the step by step.
I got a bid within the first 20 minutes, and I don't think I'm anything special. I'm not jacked. I wasn't extremely rich. I'm not 6'4", super attractive. I'm like a pretty average guy off the looks, you know? Most kids, I would ask them like, oh, okay, like, what do you bring to the frat? 40 kids would answer, oh, well, I want to meet kids so we can like do business too. I said, what do you bring to the frat? Like what I did, I was like, I'm doing a lot of business. I have a lot of friends that are girls, you know. I've never had any bad history with any girls. That's what frats are ranked upon nowadays. How much girls you get.
So you would say that your best piece of advice is tell the frat guys what you bring to the table.
Yeah. It's like, It's literally an interview, right? What value do you bring? Why is a frat going to want you in? If you're a liability, if you can't talk to your girls, if you're a creep, like, why would they let you in? You know?
No,
it's
for
like,
sure.
You got to bring something to the table.
Okay. So I'll say who's the most lit and then who's the most like intellectual from what I've seen.
Intellectual.
Yeah. Like just not like preach, bruh. Like preach. You know? Like preach. So I think most lit is probably Pike. Yeah.
Okay.
And then most like intellectual, like actual, you can have conversations with the guys is Signu. Yeah.
What would you say is your favorite frat is?
So
we let those guys beat us last week. I just want everybody to know. That's what everybody sounds like
intellectual.
And that is what I sounded like in college. I thought I was so cool.
Wild.
I DJ'd at several little house parties and stuff. I thought I was so cool in college, bro. And that's just what I looked like without the internet and my digital footprint on that.
No, I don't think your hair looked that bad either.
No,
that guy had an awful cut in his hair.
As I mentioned, I will take a new headshot for work. So I lined up all my headshots. And you can see the little like growth of this journalist. It's kind of cute. I've had 6 headshots so far in my whole career. So this will be 7.
What are you, Kennedy? Sound like a Kennedy kid.
Conspiracy pod.
Yeah, number 1 clean podcast.
Number 1 clean podcast. This is what I've wanted to talk to you about all week, and it's sort of why we're recording on a Thursday, also based on Coach Huiet's availability. Also, shout out Coach Huiet. Thank you for doing the show. But the Pac-12, that's the big to-do.
Yeah.
Last week, around this time, Thursday, because we had the game against Arizona State then, and I think I had like 4 hours of sleep, and then I went out to San Marcos to go cover this game. So it's tough on the mind, body, and spirit for sure. Everybody's blowing up my phone. Are we going to the Pac-12? Are we going to the Pac-12? I called you on our way to the stadium, and I was like, "Is this going to happen?" You know, Philip Pongratz, our SID, was like, "Hey, state conference or Oregon State, Boise State."
Thank you for repeating a joke on Twitter. Shout out taking a Twitter joke and putting it in real life.
Yeah. I don't think that's going to happen.
All right, let's do the pros and cons. Let's do the pros and cons.
This is the question I posed to you, though, because Texas State's phone, Kelly Danfous's phone, definitely rang at some point.
I don't think it
last
did.
Thursday. You don't think so?
No.
What do you think it's ringing now?
Probably. I think it's rang in the last week. I don't think it rang before Thursday. I was talking about the pros and cons to you. So if you want to be in the Pac-12, you have to understand that it's not the Pac-12 of old. Like the winner of the Pac-12, the conference champion, probably shouldn't get an automatic bid to the Rose Bowl. Like the conference champion probably shouldn't be like playing the conference. Like okay. And I'm not saying Texas State isn't that, but when I think Rose Bowl, I think Marcus Allen, OJ Simpson, Matt Leinart, Reggie Bush. I think of like these great USC players. I think about the Cal Bears that came through, the Oregon, the the Michael Jameses of the world, right? Like I think about all these like really great Pac-12 players. Those teams are not in the Pac-12 anymore. It's like Boise State and UNLV and Washington State and Oregon State. Okay.
And us. Question
and
mark.
us. It doesn't like we would go from being the furthest West team in the Sun Belt to being the furthest East team in the Pac-12. Like, I don't understand why anybody would want that. Like, for travel wise, you're telling me now that you want your softball team to have to go to Spokane, Washington? Like, for track and field, you want those guys having to go to Vegas? Like, Texas State is is at the point now where we're making a transition from being a broke boy to like having a steady job. Okay, we're going from working at McDonald's to like I guess selling insurance. Like we're
moving out of mom's basement to getting your own studio apartment.
Yes, we're at the studio apartment phase of college athletics, and to go from that to then like buying a new like Hummer doesn't make sense. Like you're gonna ruin your credit score, kid.
Huh? Yeah.
What?
You got a job for $30,000 a year? You're gonna buy a new 4Runner?
Yeah. You're buying a $60,000 car on $36K a year. Like that doesn't make a lot of sense. That's what this move would be. Look, do I want to play Boise State? Sure. Do I want to play UNLV?
Shout out Chris Coots.
Yeah. Shout out Chris Coots. Do I want to play UTSA and be in the same conference as them? Of course I do. But like when you see the realignment and they talk about UNT, a program that has been pretty successful, not only in football, but also in basketball and women's athletics, Rice, which has been a very historic program in the state of Texas, not maybe historically winning, but you think about the old Southwestern Conference, you think about what Rice brings to the table. I know Texas State beats Rice in that bowl game last year.
Academically, I guess.
I do think that Rice is a little now. Okay, I say this historically speaking. I think they have a little bit of an edge on Texas State. Now, currently, I like our program more, but over the last decade and a half, I would probably give the edge to Rice. And again, we're not talking football; we're talking all athletics here because that's what it would be.
I think Bloomgren is also the most tenured coach in the group of five, if I'm mistaken.
And Rice,
I heard that on a podcast.
I think so.
It was a DCTF thing, so I feel confident saying that.
Here's the bottom line. Would I want to be in the Pac-12? Sure. But the pros of being in the Sun Belt Conference very much to me outweigh the pros of being in the Pac-12. There's travel. I think that the travel arrangements in the Sun Belt are better than probably anything Texas State would get in the Pac-12. The TV contract, I know people are saying, oh, well, you go to the Pac-12, you get a whole new TV. The Pac-12 is the whole reason they don't have a conference anymore is because they couldn't get a deal done. Mm-hmm. They couldn't figure out. And if you're a Texas State fan and you like watching your sports and you don't live in the state of Texas, like I didn't live in the state of Texas for 3 years, ESPN Plus was my best friend. I got to watch all the Texas State games on ESPN Plus, right? And that, again, we're talking all athletics. We're not just talking football. I got to watch soccer and softball and baseball via ESPN Plus. And if we go to the Pac-12, that's not a guarantee. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, I'm having to worry about Apple or Prime or Fubo or some Sling TV. I don't want to deal with that.
Amazon or something?
Amazon. I don't want to
Amazon
deal
and
with that.
TNT, I think.
No, I don't want to deal with that. Let me watch my game. I think it's the CW, right?
Oh,
like,
yeah. Even worse.
Like
Did you know, actually, this is a news fact. Any news program that's hosted on the CW is not leading in a market across the country.
Doesn't shock me. I
don't want your games on there. That's what we're looking at.
I don't want Texas State on the CW. I think that's a fair point. We played in what was it, like the 10th most watched program last week? Like of all the ESPN shows, our game against Arizona State had like 900,000 people watching. Mm-hmm. That's not bad. I don't think that's like you're going to get that in the Pac-12. And again, I say, if you are an older college football fan, the Pac-12 means something different. Bill Walton, UCLA basketball, Trojan football, right? Like Oregon track and field. Like those are staples of college athletics. Those aren't there anymore. That doesn't exist. Mm-hmm. We're talking Boise State. We're talking like San Jose State. Like I'm sorry, I'm not.
This is group
I'm
of
not
5
moved.
teams promoting themselves to that level that they think that they
Yes.
are. You know what I'm saying?
This 100%. I'm telling you, this feels like when a neighborhood in a town. Again, this is good. Republican Zimmel's coming out here.
Ooh.
This is a neighborhood in a town. Then they put like, low income housing in that area, and all of a sudden people don't want to live in that part of town anymore. That's what the Pac-12 is. It's turned into the bad part of college athletics. I'm sorry, it's the low income housing of the Power 5.
To me, and this is
you gotta cut that. You gotta cut. We can't use that. You gotta cut that.
What?
You gotta cut that. But it's true.
Low income housing.
It's true. Like people are talking like, okay, the winner of the Pac-12 potentially could get a top 4 seed. That would never happen. And they're talking about them being like potentially like a Power 4, Power 5. No, there's no Power 5 anymore. It's Power 4, and the Pac-12 isn't guaranteed to be the best Group of 5 conference. I would make an argument that the Sun Belt still would probably eke them out. Now, again, depending on the schools that go over there, if UTSA and UNT go, maybe. But man, I don't know. I don't think it's that. I don't think it moves the needle like a lot of people think it would.
No, I get where you're coming from. This is what I've been saying all week because Jeff Traylor has like a now viral clip.
I got the clip. Do you want the clip?
Yeah, well, I'll play it too.
Well, Dr. Compost is more privy to that information than I am, but her and I have talked quite a bit the last few days about that. And obviously, we're committed to the league we're in, and we're very grateful for the AAC, but we have to listen to people that want to talk to us. And I just think it has to make sense for us. Obviously, geographically, it might not be as aligned as the AAC is, but financially, what does that look like for us? We're a program that's only been playing ball for 13 years. Most of our limitations are strictly just that. We have a booster base that's very loyal. They help us. There's just not a lot of us because we haven't been around very long. Mm-hmm. So it's the same people always having to do the most. And if you have the ability to go somewhere that can expedite the growth of a 13-year program, you've got to listen to it. So what does that look like for us? The details, one, she'd kill me if I said it, but two, she's got to be the one to decide that. And obviously President Amy, is the juice worth the squeeze?
Right.
And I'm just not for sure what that looks like exactly yet, but I do know that is a real conversation that's happening as we speak.
But like now this clip has gone viral about him talking about the Pac-12 and that these conversations are continuing to happen at UTSA and other places. People are saying this is a reminder that football is the doorstep of this institution. They're talking about UTSA, obviously, but it goes for everybody across the board. As I mentioned before, this is like schools like trying to save themselves for this whole like realignment, redistribution of wealth, basically, that's happening across the board. And Texas State has gone from like something that has kind of held the Sun Belt back in a lot of ways, football wise for sure. Basketball, we're not helping right now, but they're not really a basketball conference. But baseball is really kind of where this conference has shined for a long time. And now football is getting kind of that like light, like, ooh, look at this. Like, what does this Sun Belt football look like in the grand scheme?
I would say,
and now we are a pillar of this conference, this school that we love
very
much.
recently. Yes. You had this take. I really like it. I would say the football in the Sun Belt outside Texas State has been good for a while. Troy has been good. Louisiana has been good. App State's been good. Marshall's a nationally recognized brand. We're okay. We're fine in the football department. Okay, so let me ask you this. We saw teams in the Pac-12 when it fell apart join the ACC. We saw Stanford and Cal join the ACC. Do you see a world where Sun Belt teams on the East Coast are thinking about joining the Pac-12?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
I don't know.
And to me, that is the line of demarcation. Like I said, Texas State has been a studio apartment athletic program. We cannot afford to join the Pac-12. And unless we have a major donor, and unless Kelly Danfus and Don think that this move, us joining the Pac-12, would energize the fan base and just pump revenue that has not existed since Texas State joined FBS level, unless they know that there is this reserve of money that's just sitting out there from donors and sponsors and alumni that you join the conference and it's going to pump all that in, don't do it. Do not do it. It does not make any sense to bankrupt yourself, to bankrupt the athletic program, to try to run with the dogs. Don't do it. Bad idea. And UTSA, and again, Texas State podcast, you don't care about UTSA. I get it. We both live in the market. If UTSJ joins the Pac-12 tomorrow, they have to put at least $250 million in their athletics. We're talking $250 million from the jump to try to catch up to where they would need to be in a Power 5 conference or Power 4 conference, if that's what they want. Because their basketball facilities aren't very good.
Nope.
Their baseball, softball facilities are not very good.
Garbage.
The Alamo Dome would need a complete remodeling, a complete change, and the city doesn't want to pay for that. Why would the city pay for that? The whole reason the Alamo Dome exists is for a pro sports team, and we're not getting one. So UTSA would have to foot the bill on that. It would be a minimum of $250 million. That money doesn't exist. Jeff Traylor can tell himself and can tell the fan base that, hey, the phone is ringing. Maybe that brings in more NIL money. Maybe that brings in more sponsorship money. Maybe that brings in more alumni money. I don't buy it. I'm not buying it.
Yeah, I don't know. This sounds like a little fear mongering. It sounds like everybody's going, "Oh, the sky's falling."
Well, but I'm gonna really zag here, and maybe I'm talking out of school. Maybe I shouldn't say this, but if you're Jeff Traylor and you want an indoor facility and it's kind of, they're dragging their feet a little bit, would it not make sense for you to go on your coach's show and say the Pac-12 is calling, they want UTSA, but our administration or whoever doesn't want to pay for it? And now when he leaves, he has a built-in excuse. Well, I was getting paid, but they didn't want to pay my staff, or they didn't want to do this, or they didn't want to do that. And now I have a built-in excuse to get out. Like, doesn't that kind of look?
Well, these guys
That's
all
what it
have
feels
that,
like to
don't
me.
Because any phone that rings for GJ Kinney, he goes, "Well, it made sense for me. It made sense for the staff I want to keep around. It made sense for my family. More money always makes sense." That's the thing. Jeff Traylor has a quote that goes, "These guys are already paying me more money than I know what to do with. Why am I going to go chasing bread somewhere else?"
But
we know if his phone rang to go to Tech or go to Baylor or go to whatever, he'd probably go.
Yeah, no, I don't buy that at all. I'm sorry. I have spent my entire young adult life, watching college football, not only the product on the field, but behind the scenes. I don't buy it. We got to get out of here soon. I do want to bring this up. Tennessee, 15% increase on tickets next year for the talent fee to go into NIL. I am so upset about that. Jacob, I pulled up
across the board, 4 ticket sales go into student athletes for the NIL collective.
Tennessee football made $75 million in 2023. Their AD makes $2.75 million a year. The cheapest ticket for their next home game against Florida, a team that's not very good, $375. And that's without the transaction fees on Ticketmaster. So you're adding 15% increase on those numbers. Just if you're going to pay the players, pay the players. Don't pass it over on the fans to pay the players. That's it's incendiary and it's dumb and it hurts me. It bothers me.
And so, like, I listen to Cameron and Mace's podcast. It is what it is. I'm a big pause game guy.
Shout out.
And they were talking about this and they were like, well, it's like, it's going to end up being like 10% of 30. What is that? 3? We got it. And it's like, well, that's not what tickets cost, old man. What are you talking about? If I didn't have, I could probably buy season tickets for Texas State if I wasn't covering the team, right? But I don't have to really incur that cost because of what I do on the side for this show. So that's nice. But imagine if we do become big time, seats are going to be a lot more expensive in Bobcat Stadium, or UFCU Stadium, I should say.
Well, let me tell you, I could see a world where Texas State tries to bring in more Power 4 teams into that stadium because you split the revenue with the P4 team, and if you can split the gate with the P4 team, that's not bad. You're going to make a lot of money. So I'm hoping that I guess a band or like a comedian would go, like you get paid for the door, You're not getting paid like a flat rate. You're getting paid by the door fee, So yeah, 100%. And
you want to be like, I guess, an artist at Edom Street or something that tries to sell that place out.
Would not shock me that in the next couple years, again, depending on how alignment and everything else works, wouldn't shock me if there are some pretty big Central Texas teams that are coming into San Marcos. Talking about Baylor. Would not shock me if Baylor comes to town soon, like in the next 10 years.
Tech, they got nothing to lose.
Yeah. But I'm saying all of those Big 12 schools would not shock me coming to San Marcos in the future.
Yeah, I want to keep this conversation going with our lovely fans. If you got an opinion on the Pac-12 realignment as a whole, leave it in the comments down below. What do you think is going on in college football? I don't know anymore, man.
I'm firmly on the stance of I'd rather be in the Sun Belt. And if we go to the Pac-12, I want to see the numbers. I want there to be a deck that's put together for the alumni and the fans to say it makes financial sense and competitive sense for us to go, because it does not make any sense to me to be going to Spokane, Washington on a Tuesday night for our student athletes. Doesn't make sense to me.
Do we want to address the Arizona State loss? Do you have any final thoughts? That's it.
We shouldn't have lost. It's one of those. I said this before. You lose big, you lose close, you win close, you win big. We're on the lose close part of it. It's fine.
Here's the thing that people were coming up to me on the sidelines talking about, like, why would you do that? Why would you go for it on 4th and long or whatever it was at the end? And GJ Kinney said it best. Like, I'm trying to win. What do you mean? I was like, yeah,
of course.
If he does that and they convert on it, suddenly, my God, his stock is rising like it's never been, like he's
scared money don't make money.
Exactly. So wild play at the end. Follow us on Twitter to see all that. I'll plug my newsletter. I wrote a whole game recap of that. That's also on our Twitter feed at Squarin Pod. Subscribe.
You put your pros on the newsletter too.
Mm-hmm. A special note for our ROF listeners: all of these episodes are now going on to DCTF's feed because we have a contractual agreement with them. So that's where all the ad money's coming from. So if you're looking for our podcast, it's on the ROF feed usually, or on our YouTube. So yeah, that's all I really had to talk about this week on Squaring Around. Ooh, the bye week blues, Andy. How's your bye week been treating you?
Been awful.
It's tough without football, baby.
It's been a tough week. It's been a tough week without football. Sure. Shout out Arch Manning, not Archie. Arch.
Shout out. How you doing in the Pick'em League? You all right? You holding up? I'm top 3 right now, baby.
I can't believe you made that. I can't believe you made that because I was fading you for like a week straight and it didn't pay off.
I haven't made my picks yet, so there's still time for you to catch up for sure.
All right, so quickly I'll go through them because I know we gotta go here pretty soon. Virginia versus Coastal, I'm taking Virginia. Trojans versus Michigan, I'm taking USC. Rutgers versus Tech, I'm taking Virginia Tech. Arizona State versus Texas Tech, I'm taking the Raiders at home. Utah versus Oklahoma State, taking the actually I'm taking Utah or Oklahoma State because Cam Rising's not playing in that game. TCU versus SMU, the last of the Skillet game, I'm going TCU. Cal versus Florida State. Seminoles got to figure out at home. I'm taking the Florida State, even though I'm with the woke Bears. Toledo versus Western Kentucky. I'm going Toledo. They had a big win last week against Mississippi State. Tennessee versus Oklahoma. Tennessee is a much better football program. Iowa versus Minnesota. It pains me. I'm taking the Hawkeyes.
Word. Thanks for squaring, everybody. See you next week.
We don't need no badges. I don't have to show you any stinking badges. Better not come any closer.
Thanks for listening. New episodes out every Thursday. Follow the boys on Twitter. Eat 'em up. Eat 'em up.